With rumors spreading amok of details regarding the successor to the Switch, or what most people are calling the Switch 2, Nintendo fans have been becoming more and more anxious day by day regarding the release of Nintendo's most anticipated console right now. It's gone to a point where Nintendo now has to tweet out that the Switch successor won't be revealed in an upcoming Direct. And the day that Nintendo doesn't say that after announcing a Direct, oh man, Nintendo Twitter and YouTubers are going to go crazy. And with the new Nintendo console incoming, there's been a lot of talk about what kind of gimmick, if any, the next Nintendo console could have. Because it seems with every console that Nintendo makes that they want to add some kind of innovation to that console. Let's just go over some of Nintendo's past innovations / gimmicks. We can start with the Game Boy in 1989. Nintendo didn't invent the first handheld console. That credit goes to the Milton Bradley Microvision made in 1979, but they are often credited for popularizing the concept of handheld consoles and continue to dominate the handheld market. The DS released back in 2004 and was an innovation on the Game Boy by adding an additional screen and having that additional screen be a touchscreen. The original DS design would get future revisions being the DSi, the 3DS, and the 2DS, and with these revisions, the Nintendo DS line of consoles would dominate the gaming market by becoming a top 3 selling console of all time with over 150 million units sold. In 2006, Nintendo would release the Wii console, taking the world by storm. With this console, a new concept for gaming, being motion controls, would become mainstream and would make the Wii console a must-have for families. Wii Sports would become a worldwide phenomenon that almost everyone has played and was a big step in motion-controlled games. The Wii sold just over 100 million units, and with numbers like that, of course companies like Microsoft and Sony had to throw their hats into the ring by introducing the Kinect for Xbox and the Move controller for PlayStation. After one of Nintendo's biggest successes would come one of their biggest failures, sales-wise, the Wii U. Released in 2012, the Wii U would sell around 13 million units, making a stain on Nintendo's track record. But just because this console underperformed, that doesn't mean that it didn't have good ideas. The Wii U gamepad controller is the main focus of this console, sporting a built-in camera, microphone, and touchscreen. This controller was made perfectly for games supporting asymmetrical gameplay like Nintendo Land, where you can have up to 4 players using the TV, while a 5th player can have their own screen being on the gamepad. It was also perfect for games like Mario Maker, with the gamepad's touchscreen making level creation seamless and simple. And now finally we've come to the Nintendo Switch, one of Nintendo's biggest innovations being merging handheld with home console, a console that you can put on your TV by docking it or take out and just take it to places. Handheld and home console. And being one of Nintendo's most innovative consoles to date, the Nintendo Switch has broken record after record with each franchise featured on it. It seems like anything that you put on a Nintendo Switch sells. Think about a game like Animal Crossing. Before the Switch, it was a popular Nintendo franchise, but it wasn't a popular gaming franchise. But then whenever you put New Horizons, Animal Crossing New Horizons on the Switch, it becomes a top 3 best-selling game on the system. The Switch is Nintendo's best-selling home console to date, and as of June 2024, the Switch is sitting at about 143 million units sold. So with all this talk about Nintendo's past gimmicks and innovations, what can we expect for the next console? Aside from a leak a while back potentially name dropping the Switch or the next system as the Switch Attach, us Nintendo fans really don't know what to expect. So I would like to present my idea for what the next console's gimmick could be. And that gimmick, my dear watcher, is adding virtual reality support, VR. Now I know that some people might already be thinking that this sounds a little weird or far-fetched, but hear me out. Virtual reality or VR is something that developers have been working hard on achieving for decades. The first head-mounted display for VR was created in 1968 by Harvard professor Ivan Sutherland and his student Bob Sproul. This remarkable invention would pave the way for things like the Wii Remote, the Xbox Kinect, and eventually one of the first remarkable VR headsets for modern gaming, the PlayStation VR, to be made. It seems like Meta's Quest line of consoles would popularize VR for a lot of consumers, but even with this fact, VR consoles and games just don't sell like home consoles and games. In 2018, Nintendo would release a sort of toys-to-life product called Nintendo Labo. With this series of products, Switch users could build new gaming experiences out of cardboard and do things like play the piano, go fishing, raise a virtual pet, drive a vehicle, or fight giant robots. One of the most notable things that Labo did, though, was try to turn the Switch into a VR headset. The Labo VR kit released in 2019 and would cause a couple of Nintendo games like Smash Ultimate and Breath of the Wild to update to support it. The Labo VR kit, while an interesting idea, was executed poorly. You were forced to hold the Switch to your face, causing fatigued arms, and with the Switch's 720p resolution in handheld mode, your eyes weren't met with a suitable display. Like I just mentioned, the updates to make some Nintendo games support the VR kit were very underwhelming. If the game wasn't built for it in the first place, it sucked. When they updated Smash Brothers to support it, all the VR was just you're the camera. It's not like you're in the eyes of the character you're playing and fighting as. It's just you look around the stage. What? When they updated Breath of the Wild, you would think it's a better game to support it than Smash Brothers. I don't even know why they would do that to Smash Brothers. But when they updated Breath of the Wild, you would think, oh, I can look through Link's eyes. This is perfect. Let me play Breath of the Wild through Link's eyes. No, sir. It was just, you were the camera again. Why? Let me be Link. This is perfect. They had the perfect opportunity and they just, dude. With the concept like basically putting yourself into a virtual world, you would think that VR would be pushed harder. If Nintendo gave VR another chance, I think that they could improve on their mistakes that they made with Labo and actually make something worthwhile. I think that they could create another spike in interest in VR gaming and make it more mainstream. Not that it isn't already kind of mainstream, but make it big. Make it like everybody has to have a VR headset. How many people do you know that have a VR headset? That's why I think Nintendo should take the opportunity to make the next console, I'm just gonna call it the Switch 2, to make the Switch 2 VR focused from the get-go. Have the idea in mind, yeah, we're gonna put VR games on here from the beginning. And if they did this, they would make it like the first 3-in-1 console. A console that you could lay back on your couch comfortably and play on your TV. A console that you can take anywhere, like a long car ride or a long plane ride. And finally, a console that can transport you into any Nintendo world that you want, whenever and wherever. And think about the potential of first-party Nintendo games being in VR. There's a lot of it. For instance, imagine a game like Splatoon in VR. Imagine you're in the game and you're swimming around and you swim through the ink and then like your vision is like kind of blurry while you're swimming through it. And then you come out and you shoot the gun, you hold the gun with your hand, little splat gun. Or it would be great for weapons like the bow that they added in Splatoon 3. Imagine pulling back the bow in VR and you splat people. Or the ink brush, any of the melee weapons in Splatoon, the ink brush, the splat brush, the katana. Oh my gosh, like it would be so cool. Or maybe they could bring back one of the most underrated, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Nintendo franchises. Arms. Imagine if they made an Arms 2 in VR. Dude, I feel like that's just so perfect. Imagine you move your hands, right? Whatever motion controls, right? You move your hands and you're in the world and you're punching people. I know in Arms 1 there's motion controls and you punch people, but like imagine you're in the game. That's way cooler. It's way cooler. And the motion controls will probably be better because it's VR technology. It's not just little Joy-Con. They probably are just gonna make another version of Joy-Con, but it's a more improved Joy-Con that they could probably use for VR. Like Arms 2. Nintendo, please. I just really want Arms 2. I just really want Arms.
By the way, I do intend on making an Arms video later on about my thoughts and my ideas for a potential sequel to Arms. So if you would like to watch that video whenever I eventually make it, subscribe.
Think about the ports. Wii Sports would be cool. You could play the sports in VR. I feel like it doesn't really need to be a VR game, but moving it over be pretty easy. It'd be you just to get a game out there, you can make Wii Sports VR, or I guess Switch Sports. Zelda could go crazy. They could actually do Breath of the Wild right this time. They could actually put you in Link's eyes. Maybe it doesn't have to be Breath of the Wild. Maybe it's just a Zelda game. You're Link. You're swinging a sword, and you're in the world. You're in VR. It could be like scary. You know how scary like some aspects of Zelda can be pretty scary, like in VR. Pokemon has a lot of potential in VR if it's something like Legends Arceus where you're like in an open world and you're like catching the Pokemon. Imagine you're like petting the Pokemon in VR. I know you can't feel it, but it's like it's there. That's your little buddy. That's your little Pokemon in VR. That's pretty cool. Another easy port, Clubhouse Games. The game where it's like a bunch of tabletop games. Imagine it's not gonna go that crazy, to be honest. It's just a bunch of tabletop games. But imagine you're in VR, you're sitting at the table and you're moving the little pieces. Like, I don't really have any ideas for like a Mario VR game. I'm pretty sure Odyssey had a VR update, and it was probably not good since I haven't seen anything about it. But I think they could probably do like Mario Party in VR. Imagine you have to like roll the dice in VR, and you like have to walk across the VR board, and there's like new motion games. I know the Wii Mario Parties had like motion focused games, but it's different. VR motion is not the same as Wii and Switch motion. But let me not hype myself up too much. Now I know all of these ideas sound really cool, but like, is this actually gonna happen? Is the Switch 2 gonna be a 3-in-1 home handheld VR console? Probably not, but it's cool to think about. At least when I'm watching a direct, you already know what I'm gonna be hoping for. Maybe in the future they can just do what PlayStation did and add VR games to it, and they have their own separate VR system that you have to buy separately for your Switch 2, but only time will tell. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like the video. If you enjoyed me and would like to continue enjoying me, subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. By the way, if you're wondering why there's a Band-Aid, this is a Band-Aid. If you're wondering why there's a Band-Aid on my finger, I cut myself at work.